Welcome back to week 5 of the Prediction Super Rugby this year. We're really getting into the meat of the competition now, and it's really going well. I must admit, I had a great week last week. All 8 out of 8, perfect score. I don't even do that at school sometimes, but it was great to get them all right. Some more the luck than anything else, and some more consequence. It's good to see. I'll take it, knowing that this competition keeps you humble, knowing that this competition brings you back down to earth. And you never can rest on your laurels in this competition. Those of you playing Super Brew over the years will know that. But let's go ahead. This week's predictions. We'll start off with the overseas games because they're probably the ones that have the least interest in them as such. First up, one that I'm going to go for the Bolter this weekend. See if I get this right. Over the years, the Force have been a thorn in the side of the Crusaders. By all accounts, the Crusaders should win this one rather easily, being in Christchurch, but I think Dave Wessels and his team have got a plan up their sleeves. I think they perennially do well against them. You look at the history books, they've beaten the Crusaders a number of times as well. So I think we're going to go for the Force on this one. Go take a Bolter right at the start, Force by 5 points. Straight back into the Aussie Derby after that, the Rebels Waratahs. Waratahs really coming off a bad run. Daryl Gibson under a load of pressure, playing at AAMI Army Park, whatever you call the bloody thing. But they over there this weekend, the Rebels desperately looking for a win as well. The Rebels have put together some good stuff, but haven't been able to finish in the games. But the Waratahs are in trouble. Normally I'd say the easy Waratahs win, but I think this week we're going to go for more pain for the Waratahs. Daryl Gibson, unfortunately, it looks like the Rebels might hold out for this win. Brumbies against the Highlanders, a bit of a tough one as well. Hurricanes blasted the Highlanders last week. The Brumbies beat the Waratahs, so the Brumbies should be favourites at home. But the Highlanders are doing pretty well. I think they're all right this season. They've got a number of injuries. If those subside, they'll be all right for the rest of the season. Brumbies should do this at home, though. This is going to be a rare win for Australia over New Zealand side. It's going to be close, but I think it's going to be a very boring game. I don't think it's going to be expensive at all. But I see the Brumbies coming on the with 3 to 5 points. The last game of the weekend is the Jaguares against the Reds, and I think there's a big talking point here about the disservice that maybe the Cheetahs and the Lions have done the rest of the competition, and perhaps the Lions themselves in allowing the Jaguares to get some momentum by playing weaker teams against them. The Reds this week, I think, are going to feel that pain. They've got some injuries. They've gone all across from Australia to South Africa to Argentina, so they're really travelling a lot. So I don't think they're going to be up to the challenge, to be very honest. Jaguares playing well, got momentum, 2 wins in a row, 2 big wins in a row. I see some more problems for Australia, and I see a pretty big 15-point win for the Jaguares. And now we get to the South African teams. The big ones for the weekend. Let's start all the way over in Auckland. The Bulls become the first South African team to play in New Zealand opposition. A lot has been said about this. New Zealand opposition, obviously the point that everyone's measuring themselves against. Seen the Lions play against Australian opposition, and the Sharks play against Australian opposition. But I think the Bulls are going to have a really tough task. What worries me is the Bulls aren't firing on all cylinders. They've got a number of players back. On tour may work for them. We've seen teams are galvanized by the fact that they're away from home, away from the pressure of their own fans and stuff, and it might work for them. And the Bulls did win in Auckland the last time they played there. But I think this Auckland team's got too much firepower. I'd love the Bulls to obviously cause an upset for South Africa's sake, but I don't think it's going to happen. I see an Auckland team winning. I see a Bulls team stuttering, and I see at least a 5-point win for the Blues. Stormers Sunwolves. In normal circumstances, we'd say this is a one-way traffic, but the Sunwolves in the last couple of weeks have really shown some grit. Under Filotea, they've really shown that they can play with the big boys, and they've really put some of the South African teams under a lot of pressure at home. And now they come back to Singapore. They're playing the Stormers. The Stormers are without a number of players, a number of injuries as well, and there's a bit of apprehension amongst their coaching staff. I would say the Stormers should have enough to win, but last year they drew their 25 all, so I'm not quite sure if they're going to be that good. I don't think the Sunwolves will get their victory. I think the Stormers will eke out a win, but it's going to be very close. The Kings game against the Sharks are flesh in the pan. Were the Sharks that bad and the Kings that good? Well, yeah, I suppose we'll see. I think the Lions are, though, too much on a roll. They've had a couple of injuries now, but overall their depth is just too good still, and they've got enough firepower there. And I think if the Springboks are playing, and if they get on a roll, the likes of Rowan Janssen van Rensburg and a number of others, I think we're going to see quite a big victory for the Lions. 15 points will be a competitive game, a very open game, nice, lots of tries. The Kings will give a good account of themselves, but they don't have the firepower to beat the Lions. Lions to win this by 10 to 12. And finally, the game in Bloemfontein that everybody's waiting for, the Cheetahs Sharks. Just how good are the Sharks? Was that really their best performance last week? Was that something that they'll have woken up to? Had Robert Dupree, has he shouted and screamed and got them all back up to the same standard that he expects from them, on the standard they had on the tour as well? Last week was abysmal, let's be very honest. Same with the Cheetahs. They already looked like they'd already given up their game before they got to Buenos Aires. So to me, it's a tough one to call. It really is. I mean, the Cheetahs perennially do well against the Sharks. But the Sharks are known this year, I think, are a lot better than they have been in the last couple of years. And I think they can do it. There's some rumours of some talk of some trouble in Durban with some of the players not being happy, etc. I don't think that's really the case. The Cheetahs have got a lot of injuries. But if a guy like Francois Venter is back in the starting 23, if there's a number of guys returning, I think the Cheetahs might just take this one. They might just surprise the Sharks. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be an entertaining game. But I'll give it to the Cheetahs. That's it, of course. Big weekend coming up. Another 8 games to focus on. Could get them all right, could get them all wrong. That's the nature of this competition. But I reckon we're doing pretty well so far if you follow these predictions through the season so far. If you enjoyed this, please do a favor, share it, tell your friends, and subscribe. Buttons are below on the page. And keep watching. Yeah, there'll be more of these. Cheers.